veteran in the industry and perhaps must have decoded the budget in a far more meaningful manner because he's the chief rating officer of CRISIL and also the senior director. Please welcome Mr. Krishnan Sitaraman. Krishnanji, good to see you. Good to have you on this particular show.
Very good afternoon, Amol. Great to be on the show. Thank you so much.
So, how do you rate the budget? That is my first question.
Sure. I think the union budget, the way I look at it, comes with a two-pronged, long-termistic approach. That's the word I have coined. There is a strategic prong which will continue to pave the path for Viksit Bharat by 2047. And then there is a tactical prong that entails facilitations and reliefs to spur growth of key subsegments amid what I call a paradox of global headwinds and domestic tailwinds. Now, the emphasis on infrastructure and financial sector continues. We have strategic and frontier manufacturing sectors have been incentivized. There are reliefs and facilitations for SMEs. There is a move to deepen the corporate bond market. For the tariff hit sectors like textiles, there are some measures for short-term relief as well. So a number of nuts and bolts are there. I don't see any big bang announcements, but a number of nuts and bolts, I would say brick and mortar kind of a budget, but brick and mortar are key ingredients of a very strong and resilient building. So that is important. For instance, a number of key measures were announced off budget. For instance, the GST rationalization, which took effect from September. So if the GST did not happen then, and would have announced along with the budget, then people would have called it a very big bang budget. But that has moved out, and now we are having a lot of nuts and bolts, small pieces putting together, paving the path for Viksit Bharat.
Certainly, sir. I think Viksit Bharat has been the central theme for I think the budgets they are bringing and the rationalization with the taxation or whatever the policies they are bringing. In fact, Reform Express has been also the theme. But let me come to you with a very specific question, and I'm sure you study a lot about economics, rating companies, and also the global funds. The basic issue that India is facing right now is, the FDI. Obviously there were a couple of deals that happened, but it's still not at the level which we were expecting. Rupee also collapsed a lot. So, do you think, by any chance, while everyone is saying it's a balanced budget, it's a moderate budget, do you think this budget pushes for foreign capital? Do you think global investors will look at India far more positively after this budget? Do you think so, sir? Or what would be the changes do you see in the global environment coming to India specifically with the capital?
Sure. I think we need to keep in mind, as the previous speaker was also saying, that the budget is one part of the financial ecosystem or financial measures that happen from time to time in the economy and what the government pushes through. If you look at the fundamentals of India, India is the fastest growing large economy in the world. We are currently the fourth largest economy, will soon become the third largest economy. So that way, the attraction of India is definitely there for a set of investors, and they would definitely look at India from a long-term perspective. Now, that said, if I look at specifically the union budget, I think there are some measures which are there which will actually engage India or entail, make it more attractive to foreign investors. So one is there are measures to promote India as a global financial hub, especially through incentives at GIFT Cities International Financial Center. So we have for NRIs and non-residents, there is this measure around the portfolio investment scheme. So the PROIs, individual persons resident outside India, they can now directly invest in listed Indian companies through the PIS. Then they have the increased investment limits, which have been doubled from 5% to 10% of a company's paid up capital. Then in terms of gift city opportunities, there is an extended tax holiday which has been announced. There are investment options in terms of gift IFSC structures that are being made attractive for setting up family offices, funds, or investing through IFSC-based AIFs, alternative investment funds. So some of these measures are there, and that can help catalyze some element of foreign investments here. But ultimately, I think the foreign investments will come in if the fundamentals of the country are robust. Country continues to grow at a decent rate. The inflation is under control. The macro parameters, if they are robust, foreign investment will come in. And if I look at, say, you talk about the rupee. See, rupee, if I look at over a period of time, the depreciation has been 3 to 4% per annum. Uh, that's on an average. So in some years it may be lower, some years it may be higher. But over a period of time, it has not moved out too much out of that trend. So that is something which we need to keep in mind. Yes, there will always be short-term volatilities, but I think if
Right.
I look at it from a long-term perspective, I think India as a investment destination still has its attractiveness to foreign investors.
No, certainly, sir. Let that be the story. Let that be the hope. No doubt about it. I also see, the focus specifically on the new age businesses. In this particular budget. I mean, it's not completely new, but I think where the needed attention, for example, container, the chemical parks, red earth magnets or something like that, and some compensations there. I guess some incentives there. Do you think this incentives will also push the businesses side by any chance?
Yes, I think it was necessary. See, if I look at beginning with the rare earth minerals, rare
Yes.
earth magnets are actually very essential for motors in electric vehicles and generators in wind turbines. China dominates almost 90% of the refining and magnet making market. Now, by establishing what the finance minister has called as rare earth corridors, now what will happen is the economy will move from being a raw material importer to a high value component manufacturer, provided post extraction, relevant facilities, etc., are set up. Now, localizing production can reduce EV motor cost, thereby making green technology more affordable, and that can accelerate the transition to a net zero economy. High
Right.
performance magnets are critical for also missile guidance and radar systems.
Hmm.
And domestic production, if it progresses, will eliminate the risk of supply chain issues during geopolitical frictions and challenges.
Hmm.
And we have seen a significantly higher revenue allocation of around 3,600 crore for fiscal 27. That is up from only 490 crores under the Ministry of Mines that will promote indigenization of these rare earth minerals, aligned with, I would say, India's Atmanirbhar goals as well. In fact, if I look at other than the rare earth piece,
Right.
we are also seeing the budget is recognizing the growing role of the creative economy or the orange economy, as it is
Yes.
called,
Yes.
as a
Yes.
source of skilled employment and export potential. The
Yes.
measures include the support for what they call as AVGC, animation, visual effects, gaming, and comics sector. And that is projected to require 2 million professionals by 2030. Then we're also looking at strengthening of creative talent pipelines through the establishment of AVGC content creator labs. Around 15,000 secondary schools and 500 colleges are being targeted. So those set of measures should help. There is also a measure for the container sector because
Yes.
today, despite being a major maritime nation, India has historically relied on imports for shipping containers. During
Right.
COVID periods, FY21 and so on, the world faced a massive container shortage, which spiked freight rates and hurt exporters. And here
Right.
again, China accounts for 90-95% of new container construction globally, and its dominance has been increasing over time. So the new 10,000 rupees crore rupees scheme announced by the government for container manufacturing,
Yes. Yes.
that aims to build a sizable container capacity, insulating domestic trade from global price volatility, and would boost competitiveness of exports in general from India. And of course, this activity will involve sizable labor, and thereby that will provide increased employment opportunities as well.
Right. I think that was a detailed one, sir, but I think the meaningful one. I personally liked one fact is they're going to open the girls' hostel in every district. I think
Absolutely, absolutely.
that will also help boost the employment and those orange economy and part also. I think that you mentioned.
Sure.
Sir, let me shoot one question in specifically two parts, specifically about the finances. The government has always given a support to the MSMEs. In fact, every government talks about it. But how do you think this whole 10,000 crore SME fund will translate into pushing the MSME? Because credit disbursement and credit deployment for MSME is always a problem. Do you think this will take them to the next level? And my second question related to finance is how do you decode the high level banking committee specifically for Viksit Bharat 2047?
Sure, maybe I will take that separately. So, in
Sure.
terms of MSMEs, You talked about one scheme. There are a number of schemes announced for
Yes.
MSME. So you talked about the 10,000 crore SME
Yes,
growth
10,000
fund.
crores. Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So that one is more a equity focused fund, and there will, of course, I would assume, be an eligibility criteria as to which SMEs will need to look at the fine print, which SMEs would get it. My sense is knowledge based, technology oriented, innovation oriented entities would get it more. We'll need to watch out for that, but that definitely is a scope to kind of help in the growth for NBFC, so that the number of NBFCs face equity shortages. So this will help in that kind of direction. There is also the existing Self-Reliant India Fund. There is a top-up announced of up to 2,000 crore for that. That will also help. There's also this entire proposal to facilitate professional institutions to develop corporate mitras in tier 2 and tier 3 towns to help MSMEs meet compliance requirements. And more importantly, I thought what excited me most was the entire measures around TREADS. Now, there are a number of measures around TREADS. TREADS will be mandated as a transaction settlement platform for purchases from MSMEs. Then there is a credit guarantee support mechanism, which is proposed to CGTMSE for invoice discounting. It's also proposed to link the GEM platform with TREADS to encourage cheaper and quicker financing. Right. And again, another one is the measures around TREADS securitization. So by enabling securitization of TREADS receivables, the measure directly supports MSME working capital financing, where a number of MSMEs have faced challenges. So that is something we will look out for. That said, and it will, in some extent, if this succeeds, it can help deepen the bond markets as well, because we have 2.3 lakh crore of invoices already financed on TREADS in fiscal 25. And this measure can create a sizable and standardized pool of short tenor receivables securitized, which capital market investors can invest in. Of course, there are a number of issues which have to be resolved, like the origination frameworks, the transaction structures, what kind of operational controls. But if all these fall into place, then I would say the move is structurally positive for the Indian MSMEs.
Certainly, sir. I think those were the remarkable points I think that you mentioned, helped us understand and decode the budget. Before I let you go, because the next speaker is already here, just one last point. Do you absolutely agree with this fact that Budget 2026 is taking India forward towards 2047 far more seamlessly and in a faster manner?
No, I would say absolutely it is taking forward. As I said, my initial comments itself were around that. And I actually quickly cover 6 important dimensions which encompass the scheme. So Viksit has 6 letters. So let me take 6. So one is vibrancy of financial sector, the growth of the infrastructure sector, development on MSMEs, long-term energy security and stability is another aspect. There is a boost to innovation and digital public infrastructure, and lastly, bolstering the trade ecosystem. So all these measures should help over a period of time, help India move towards the Viksit Bharat concept.
Let's hope for the best of the Viksit Bharat very soon, not just 2047, but before that. Thank you so much for decoding various aspects of budget and sharing your time with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.